Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our fifth session of this conference and second today. In this panel, we will look at the papers which will explore integration of Muslim within host countries and inter-communal relations. And I'm chairing this. My name is Hakim Elnazarov. Let's go straight to the speakers. Our first speaker, our conference will be presenting right here is Chen Bram from Hebrew University of Jerusalem in Israel.
And Baiza Academic College.
Yeah. And the second one is Yuri Rosenberg from Heidelberg University in Germany. And you can see him on screen right now. The title of their paper is Immigration and Muslim-Jewish Relations, Immigrants from Central Asia and the Caucasus in Israel Mixed Jewish-Arab Cities. So please welcome Professor Chen Bram.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be here. And before starting, you know, it's a kind of it's a very, in a way, weird feeling to give an academic paper about Jewish-Muslim relations with all this war in our background. So just pray for peace and for all innocent people who suffer in both sides. And I will talk about intergroup relations in two small cities, but important historical cities, Akko, or Akko in English, and Ramle. You can see the upper one is Akko, and this is Ramle. Let me start with two anecdotes, that just to get you into the field. Okay, I'm an anthropologist and also dealing with cultural history, a little bit also with organizational psychology. I have another hat. My friend and colleague Uri is a historian and specialist of the Middle East and of Turkey. So what you see here, just these two pictures to remind me small anecdotes that will get you into the field. The right one, what you see is a kind of holy shrine behind some kind of a fence. And actually, this is a small shrine, Muslim shrine, a remain of a destroyed village of Palestinian, which is today inside labor people neighborhood, some kind of project neighborhood of Jews in Akko. And most of the people, I guess that in everyday life, they don't see it. Just walk, they don't see it. So 2 years ago, in my fieldwork in Akko, this was Yom Kippur, the holy holiday for Day of Atonement for Jews. And I am walking on the streets. And then I met one couple and another friend of them. The couple, all of them were from Azerbaijan. Interestingly, the woman was Jewish. Her husband was Muslim Azeri, who migrated with her to Israel. And their friend was also Muslim Azeri, who migrated to Israel. And we started to talk. And then I understood that they don't even know what is this building. They have no idea what is this building. And at the same time, they gave me their accounts of the local Muslims, the Palestinian Arabs, citizens of Israel. Okay, this is a little bit complicated because we are talking about citizens of Israel. Their accounts about their neighboring Muslims were not so, let's say, positive. They said they are not real Muslims, their behavior is too barbaric, and so on and so forth. So this is the first anecdote, just to get you into the field. Immigrants are meeting locals, and here, Muslim immigrants, not only Jewish immigrants. The second anecdote, you can see on the left side, this is Al-Aqsa. Okay, so this is Al-Aqsa. And the second anecdote is taken from Ramla. And my research assistant in the project in Ramla, when I did fieldwork in Ramla, was Yaakov. And I thank him from here. And Yaakov, his family came from Margilan, or Marelan, actually, yes, Marelan, in the Ferrana Valley. And now, Yaakov is coming from a Jewish family from Central Asia, and a friend of his mother, a Muslim, came to visit from Central Asia to Israel. So you see, connections are still there. And then he's telling me about his journey taking his mother friend to do a pilgrimage, okay, a ziyaret to Al-Aqsa. And then when he's approaching Al-Aqsa, he have to convey the waqf in Al-Aqsa, which are Palestinians, that his guest, she is actually a Muslim. And they ask her to cite the Fatiha and so on and so forth. So he had a whole kind of experience coming back home with much more knowledge about what's going on in Al-Aqsa, what is the feeling in Al-Aqsa, and so on. So two different anecdotes that tells you something about the field. So let's go from here, other side. Okay, so why are these relations between immigrants from Central Eurasia? So I'm talking about Central Asia and Caucasus, and the Caucasus, and the local Arabs, or the local Palestinians, or whatever you want to call them. Each name I will use, it's already political, so you can use whatever name you want, okay? Arab Tamane wa Arba'in, Arab Dahel, or whatever name you want. It's interesting, okay? So these migrants used to live among Muslims for centuries, these Jewish migrants. And usually they report on quite close relations between Muslims and Jews, both in the Caucasus and in Central Asia. And my understanding as a scholar is that in Soviet time, these relations became even closer. Okay? They have some common interest against the secularized policies of the Soviet Union. Then these Muslims are not Arabs. So there is less influences of these national ideologies. So what then do these migrants bring with them to the encounters with their Palestinian neighbors? Can they benefit from these former experiences? Or maybe in some cases, past experiences have negative influences. So that's the questions that we are asking here. And what you see in the right side is just everyday life, again, in Magellan. So the methodology here is collaborated, multi-sited fieldwork, often anthropologist and historian together with fieldwork in Akko and in Ramle. Uri did a very intensive fieldwork in 2016 in Akko. And Uri also speaks very good Azeri, which gave him also some roots to the field. I speak a little bit Russian, a little bit Juhuri, which is the language of Caucasus Jews, good Hebrew. And we conducted many interviews and also field observations. So who are the people that we are talking about? We are talking about two different, very different Jewish communities. One of them is what you called in Russian Gorski Yevrei. Okay? But Gorski Yevrei, I call them Kavkaz Jews. Okay? Or Dar Juhur, you can also call them. And these people, they have their own Jewish language, which is Juhuri or Judeo-Tat. They are multilingual. Some of them in Dagestan or in Chechnya could speak 7 languages even. They also live in Azerbaijan, where many of them speak Azeri, and there are about 150,000 of them now in Israel, and some others still in Moscow, in the Caucasus, in New York City, in Berlin, and in other areas, in other diasporas. In the left side, you can see a picture that some of them have of his parents. Okay, this is how they look like in the Caucasus. So very local, very local. The other group is the Bukhara Jews, or Central Asian Jews. But most of them came from what's now in Uzbekistan, but actually they came from formerly cities with Tajik population. Bukhara, Samarkand, Ferghana Valley, and other places all over, but they lived also in Dushanbe, also in southern Kazakhstan, also in Kyrgyzstan, and so on, in all Central Asian area, and they speak Tajik. But actually, linguistically, it's Judeo-Tajik, and we call this language in Hebrew Bukharit. This is how we call it, but it's the same language for all of this group with some small differences. So 2 different groups. These people maybe are 180,000, maybe more in Israel today. So and these people are also settled in Israel in mixed cities. Why do we have mixed cities? Why not everything is mixing? So I don't have time for the history of Palestine, Israel, and so on, but I would say that during to historical developments and so on, it's not only policy or segregation or whatever, it's complicated historical process. There's a special segregation in Israel. Okay, special segregation means that you can take your car, go to the next village, which is a Palestinian, Arab, Israeli village, eat hummus in a restaurant, or meet people and go back to your town. But still, it's 2 different places. But there's about today maybe 10 different places. The most bigger one is the city where I grew up in Haifa, and also Jaffa, which is part of Tel Aviv today. They are mixed. Okay, we have Jews and Arabs, or Jews and Palestinians, living together in the same municipality. So these 2 municipalities are rather mixed towns or binational town. Again, there's different academic approach to the names of this. Now, both the Arabs, Palestinians, and the migrants in these towns are suffering from some kind of marginalization from the mainstream society. These are peripheries, especially here in Akko and in Ramla. And we have also some clashes in the background. And the last important clashes was May 2021 with interethnic violence in mixed cities, but also in other locations in Israel. It's interesting, however, that now with this war, there was no clashes and almost no tensions between the population, although the situation is much harsher with the neighboring. But somehow, people in these locations decided no. Okay, and there are some people who want clashes to happen, including some politicians with high influence. It didn't happen. Okay, but a few years ago, whoa. Okay, that was even frightening. Okay, and these 2 towns, Akko and Ramle, they are quite similar but quite different. They are identified with right-wing politics. They have mayors who are somehow from the right wing, but they are not running under Likud, but under local names. And about 30%, let's say, are Palestinians, Arabs in both of them. So the first one is Akko, or Akka in Arabic, or Ekr in English. I don't know how to pronounce it even. This is an interesting historical, very interesting, fascinating. You should go there to see Akko. What you see in the bottom picture is the peninsula, which is the old town, the ancient town. And this is today, on the one hand, fascinating attraction for tourists. On the other hand, there's local Palestinian population who suffer from poverty, marginalization, and tourism-related gentrification, usually done by people who are coming from the outside, so there are tensions. There's also violence between people, crime, okay? There's also, some people would say, some scholars would say, some locals would say, state institutional violence. It's have to do with the state holding a lot of property and how they run it and so on. I don't have enough time. We can go through it later on. Okay, so, and there's a division here. Wow, I have to run. Okay, and this is Ramle. That's the problem. The background takes all the time. Okay, and this is Ramle. No, this is Akko. So in Akko, we have riots. In 2008, local riots. A Palestinian Arab, young man, go with his car to the pedestrian area of Jews who walk there in the day that no one uses car, everybody fast, okay? And this guy with high music ran into this neighborhood, Jewish neighborhood, and clashes start. Some people attack him. Some rumors in the old city were the Palestinians that a girl was kidnapped by the Jews, and clashes. And the clashes, the first night, the Palestinians are going on the Jewish neighborhoods, fire, rocks, whatever. The next one, the Jews attacking back, but the Caucasus immigrants takes a major place there. And they call other Caucasus immigrants from nearby cities, okay, and they change the whole situation. In the beginning, when I heard about it, I have many friends from this community. I was amazed. How can it be? My friends, they can never do it. But then, when I went to Akko, and when Uri did his fieldwork in Akko, we learned that they not only did it, they were proud of it. Okay? So that was 2008. And in 2021, there was another event, clashes, even 2 lynches. Here, Arabs doing lynches to Jews in Akko, but now the immigrant community was no special involvement of this community. So, these Caucasian Jews in Akko are mostly from Azerbaijan, and they have socio-economic difficulties. There's their racism against them, their exposure to right-wing discourses, and most of them came from Azerbaijan, from different locations. One of them is this place. Krasna Slavoda, Kirmizi, Kasaba in northern Azerbaijan. And what is interesting about this place, and they came also from other areas in Azerbaijan. But in this place, you have separation. One side of the river is the Jews. The other side of the river is the Muslims, by the way, most of them Shias. Okay? But separation was in housing, not in everyday life. And actually relations were excellent. But in Akko, the Jews are starting, some Jews are starting to develop some historical memories as oh no, we secured our land. We pushed them if they wanted to come. Sometimes these are memories of young people who have never been in Azerbaijan or only visited there. They were born in Akko, so history can change. Okay, this is what we see. And narratives of other places, for example, see this picture of Baku, of people from Muslim communities and Christian communities coming to a funeral of a rabbi, of a Jewish rabbi. Okay, so this kind of coexistence, not only coexistence, honoring each other, they forget about this in these memories but at the same time, some other migrants still, we are hearing about similarities between the immigrants are telling them, oh, actually the Arabs are quite like us. Okay, we are traditional, we honor elderly people, we know how to behave, not like the local Israelis who are rude and direct, as I told you before, and so on and so on. Okay, so There are cordial, even friendly relations. In 2021, I found out that the Caucasus Jews are among the only Jewish communities who stayed in connection with some Arabs, while other Jews, the separation was quite interesting. So there's ambivalence here. Very interesting ambivalence. It's an extreme case. There's multiple voices here. And what we see here is probably the influence of marginalization. In 2008, my conclusion and Uri's conclusion is simply that the case was an opportunity for the migrant to say, we are patriotic Jews, we are Israelis. The Arab attack, we attack them. We will show you that we are more Israelis than you, the other Israelis, by this kind of involvement. This is our understanding. Why it doesn't happen in 2021? Because these Jews already did some mobilization. More than the local Palestinians in the old city. Not necessarily other Palestinians. There are other Palestinians who did mobilization. It's complex. But Palestinians in the older city, no mobilization. And sometimes Akko also produced some kind of interesting collaborations and interesting features. So for example, here, Organite is a musical group of Jews. And this guy is saying here, I'm Russian and Arabic in one person. Okay, in his music, in Hamsa, and also in Habibi Ya'ini, and other features like this. So Akko is a scene of ambivalence. So Ramla is a kind, or Ramle is the only city that the Muslims, when they first came to Palestine, they built only one city. This is Ramel from sand, okay, the city on the sand. But Ramla, after 48, became an Israeli city with a Muslim minority. The difference here is that most of the Muslims are actually internal refugees who came from other places. Only a little bit of the Ramle original population of Palestinians stayed there, mostly Christians, some Muslims. But now there are about 22 and 23% Muslims, 6% Christians, and there's relatively calm intergroup relations and a kind of shared local identity. The slogan of the city is that Ramle is the city of the world, because we have so many immigrants from so many communities. Unbelievable how many languages and communities. In May 21 in Ramle, there were also violence, but no lynches like in Akko, no lynches like in Lod or Lida, neighboring town. Okay, so violence didn't get to really attack or people didn't die. The people of the municipality and the leaders of the different communities were able to calm down. And what you see here in the picture is people from all different communities, Jews, Muslims, some of them are Bedouins, some of them are Christians, Sunni Muslims, all of them, Jews from India, Jews from Central Asia, Jews from Russia, sitting together on one table and discussing what should we do now with this kind of situation. So different things happening here. Bukhara Jews in Ramle, every fourth Jew in Ramle is a Central Asian Jews. Grew up in a Tajik-speaking family. So these people bring with them a different approach towards Muslims. They simply say, okay, they migrate to the city, even if they came to other cities in Israel. They are coming to Ramle. They are not afraid from living with Muslims. They say, we lived in Muslims, we can live here with Muslims. They have a very pragmatic approach, not romantic approach. Okay, we buy from anyone who gives us good price. Muslim, Jew, whatever, Buddhist. Okay, this is their approach. They have political power, and see what's one of their leaders, communal leaders, said. They built their own very livelihood life in Ramle, Central Asian style. And this is a very interesting campaign run by right-wing radicals in the politics. You see here, it's a Jewish lady addressed in a Muslim style, and they want to say, it's written in Hebrew, tomorrow it will be your daughter. So these right-wing radicals want to say to the people, to the voters, vote for us. Otherwise, the Muslims will take your, the Muslims will take your daughter. But the people in Ramle did not accept it. After 2-3 days, this went down. And the Bukharian especially does not accept it. And there were some issues of marginalized Bukharian families who their daughters dated Arabs. And these radicals in the city council and others tried to take the Bukharian and to incite them against the Palestinians. The Bukharian leaders said, look, if something like this happened, it has nothing to do to Jewish-Muslim relations. It's only some problems of education of some families. So their approach is interesting, and their leader is saying, I admire the settlers, their Zionism, but I don't want them to run Jewish-Muslim relations in our town. We will run it in a different manner. Okay, so I have to finish, and I just want to say that it is based on intergroup relation, intimacy, and trust in Central Asia. It does the relations in Central Asia, as people remember them, inform the local relations in Ramla. So I'm stopping here simply due to a time limit. Thank you very much. I hope you got the main issues here, and hopefully we will get to more points during the question session.
Thank you. We wish we have more time to listen to this fascinating story. And of course, Bukharan Jews are well known in Central Asia, but we know after the Soviet collapse of Soviet Union, many of them moved out of Central Asia, and very little have been known where they go. I know some went to United States. There's a good diaspora in New York, but also Israel. And your story sort of demonstrate some of the experiences they have now in Israel as during the interaction with other communities, and I'm sure there will be lots of questions to learn more after this session. But let's go to our next speaker. Dr. Yahia Baiza will be talking about the Afghan Ismailis in Germany. Please welcome Yahia.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Last week I was here at an instructional skills workshop run by the Aachen University here at the Institute of Ismaili Studies, and one of the things that I learned there is that according to the new research findings, learners, although it was more about students, but learners' attention goes down after about 7 to 9 minutes. In the past, it used to be 10 minutes, but now maybe social media and everything affects, so it goes down 7 to 9 minutes. After that one, it's very difficult to keep people with us, and it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for being here today. Well, my presentation is about at home, but not at Homeland. It's a study that I did in Germany in 2022, and although I count myself belonging to the German Ismaili community. I know everybody there almost, except many of the newcomers, but those who have arrived in Germany many years ago, I know them. Also, myself being from Afghanistan, more or less I know a lot about the community that I researched. The only thing that I didn't know about was how do they feel about their sense of belonging, and how do they describe their identities. So these were the things that I needed to look into that, and to explore the notion of belonging and bicultural identity, which combines the cultural values of the homeland, but as well as the cultural values of the destination land, which is in this case Germany. So I needed to know whether community members have an identity feeling towards Afghanistan and towards Germany. If they do feel an attachment, how do they describe it? And if they do not have a sense of belonging to Afghanistan or to Germany, what causes that So I did some interviews, and I'm going to go through those interviews here, and so you can read it on the screen as well. The next slide perhaps shows that where I spoke with male interviewee, Khan, who was living in Afghanistan in the past 33 years. If you can move to the next slide, a little bit scroll down. Yeah, I did it in Microsoft Word. I hope you can read them well, but otherwise I read to you from here as well. So Khan says that if you don't mind, I do not like anything from there, meaning Afghanistan. So much suffering and misery that I experienced in Afghanistan, perhaps no human has seen in anywhere in the world. What is there for me to miss? I'm not crazy to associate myself with that place again. Having said that, Khan continues that you cannot forget Afghanistan. It is homeland. My heart burns for the poor and innocent people there. The politicians, God damn them, all are thieves and Char-Sadubist people. Char-Sadubist basically means tax. I've got friends there, and my Ismaili communities are there. You cannot stop thinking of Afghanistan. It is in one way or another always on the top of your mind. So you can already see that there is this both sense of belonging to both countries, but as well as tension that is there. Despite this bitter memories from Afghanistan, Khan cannot forget his country. Afghanistan is his birthplace, and it is alive in his everyday thoughts, what he feels for the people of Afghanistan, and he rejects discrimination on the ethical grounds. If you move to the next, okay, we are already at the next slide. A female interviewee in her 70s, when I spoke about her sense of belonging to Germany and to Afghanistan, she told me that, by God, to tell you the truth, I consider myself first and foremost an Afghan and then a German. It was God's grace and the kindness of this country, meaning Germany, that bestowed me German nationality, but I feel myself from Afghanistan and Hazara. I put the same question of belonging to Germany and to Afghanistan to a male interviewee who told me that belonging to Afghanistan is a natural feeling. Afghanistan is my birthplace, regardless of how much it was a place of suffering for me and my family and the community to which I belong. The suffering of the people of Afghanistan makes me sad, and their joy makes me happy. The negative events that happened in Afghanistan and still do happen not only directly affects the first generation of Ismaili immigrants in Germany, but also affects the second generation of the community who were either born in Germany or raised in Germany from their childhood. When I put this question to a female interviewee who came to Germany at the age of 2 when her parents immigrated to Germany, she told me that I had a strong sense of attachment to Afghanistan until my early 20s. I was thinking a lot about Afghanistan and my identity. But over the past few years, I don't know why this sense of attachment is on decline. And I don't feel as much attached to Afghanistan as now, as I used to. Maybe it was because I don't have much time and I don't think much about Afghanistan, and as I used to do. But what she says in this part of interview, that I have got some negative connections towards Afghanistan as other ethnic communities mistreat Hazaras. So I asked her that, what do you mean by negative connections? She told me that we had almost a kind of ritual that once a week we would all sit together and watch television at home. Last year, which was in 2022, it was 2021, one of those nights when we were watching Afghan Star Show, which is a reality TV show in which talented singers come and compete. So she says that we were watching the Afghan Star Show and we liked those participants or contestants. And then after the show, we say that let's go and to see what the social media talks about these contestants. And then she says that on social media, then we read that how much people had expressed pejorative words and negative feelings towards a Hazara contestant. And then she says, this is how negative feeling developed in me towards Afghanistan. Well, to look into this kind of situation, that how identity and sense of belonging develops in individuals. Individuals' identity, social identity, is often influenced by and is also a reflection of person's self-concept and self-perception of the society to which he or she develops an attachment or a feeling. So in this case, this Mastura, which is not the real name, her narrative shows that a decline in her emotional attachment towards Afghanistan, it is directly is a reflection or is directly related to her self-concept of Afghanistan. And she develops this self-concept or self-understanding of people in Afghanistan, and that how her understanding affects back her sense of belonging and identity. So social media that she refers to is one of them, but there are also other sources of information that affects her and affects her self-concept, and that includes parents, community members, the larger community members of Afghanistan in Germany, as well as that events happen and continue to happen in Afghanistan. So what happens here that Mastura, which is again, I told you that's a nickname, transforms her collected information to a new understanding of ethnic relations in Afghanistan and a new understanding of religious relationships in Afghanistan. And she's weighing, she's measuring the fairness and unfairness of treatment of society towards the people to which she belongs. And that understanding, and she continuously, so she interprets that, and then she, as a cyclical kind of effect, comes back to her, and it's how it affects her identity and sense of belonging. It is this knowledge and self-concept that influence her attachment and detachment towards Afghanistan. At the same time, at the time of the interview that was in 2002, she sees her belonging to Afghanistan on a declining path, which is a reflection of this self-concept. However, this self-concept of self-understanding is not permanent, and if the community relationship between ethnic groups, relation between religious groups, events that happens in Afghanistan will change positively, then it is, we can hope that this as a declining sense of belonging towards Afghanistan will change positively and will go back. So it's, this level of identity is not permanent, but however it is affecting. It's not surprising and it's not unusual that the second generation migrants do have less sense of belonging than the first generation. And if we move to the next slide, I did put this question to another female interviewee who was born in Germany, and she told me that my parents' stories do have a degree of influence on my sense of belonging. Yes, and my sense of belonging. However, it says it's not that much that it will define all my identity, but it does define a bit of my identity or a part of my identity. And other things that affects her identity includes like culture, traditions, music, food, and language that she speaks in Persian with her parents and with her family. Here, it's another part of an interview that I need to read for you. It's a long interview, but a long part of an interview, but is in order to give this, there are tangible and intangible self-concept that affect migrants' sense of belonging. Some of these are intangible, but many of them are also tangible. Here, I named this particular interviewee as Ahat. He arrived in Germany when he was young, he was a teenager. Now he's a father with children and a well-established businessman. In response to the question of whether he feels himself from Afghanistan or to Germany, he told me that not at all, I don't want to see myself belonging to Afghanistan or to go there to work or invest. Such things even do not occur to my mind. I asked him that, is there a particular reason for it? He told me that the difficulties we have experienced in Afghanistan and the fact that we haven't seen anything good, nor ever felt happy there, are the main reasons. I share with you, he told me that an experience of mine that perhaps explains how badly the Hazara Ismailis were treated in Afghanistan. He told me that when he moved from one school to another school, he went to Amani High School, which was an elitist school in Afghanistan. And in the first day of the school year, the teacher of Quran came to the classroom, and the first question that he asked the students that, is there an Ismaili in the class? So he told me that all class fellows, but they were from the previous were together because I was a newcomer, so suddenly everybody started to gaze at me. And he said that the next to me and another student, we were Hazara. The other one was Hazara Isnashiri, me Hazara Ismaili. So the teacher first asked him that, are you an Ismaili? He said, no, I'm Shia. And then he looked, he said, he looked towards me and I said, are you an Ismaili? And he told me that in that my childhood, I knew that being an Ismaili is not a good thing. So I told to the teacher that, no, I'm Sunni. So, and then he looked at me that he wanted to be sure that, to make sure that he's an Ismaili, but he's lying. So he said, where do you live? So he told me that at that time I was a very young child, I could not logically defend myself, but I didn't know that people can be identified by the area they live, or by villages, that whether which religious group do you belong. He said, I live in Taimani. People who are from Afghanistan, they know it's an area, Taimani and Chamani Babrak. And then he says, when I said this, the teacher was pretty sure that I'm an Ismaili, but he wanted to be certain that his guess is correct. And he said, where are you from? He said, I'm from, no, he said that, are you from Bamiyan? Because in Bamiyan we have a lot of Ismailis. He said, no, I'm not from Bamiyan, I'm from Parwan. He said, where in Parwan? He said that, he told me that, my father told me in my childhood that I heard that in Surkho Parsa district of Parwan province, there are Sunnis and Shias. So I said that I'm from Surkho Parsa, Sheikh Ali district, and then he said, Surkho Parsa, do they have Sunnis? He said, yes, there are Sunnis. And then he thought about a little bit, and then he said, well, thanks God that there's no Ismaili here. Shukr Khuda ki inja Ismaili nest. So this self-concept, and this is a very tangible, and self-concept and self-understanding of what happens inside an educational institution, which also reflect the institutions, state institutions across Afghanistan, an educational institution that was supposed to nourish his mind and intellectually, but actually affected him very negatively. So he told me that it affected me so much badly that I lost my interest for education. And I said I would love to see this person one day to tell him that how much his behavior that day affected my passion for education and how much it hurt me. So coming to conclusion of this presentation, and as the previous presentation also said, that's what affects this identity and sense of belonging is not just a document or it's not just a passport or things, but actually the relationship that people have towards each other and the events that affects them during and before and after migration, regardless how these events are distant or close to each other or to the affected individual, it's going to shape and reshape their sense of identity. And there's almost a unanimous agreement among all research participants in Germany that Afghanistan is still a country of suffering, prejudices, and discrimination, especially for marginalized communities. The state, the institutions do, attack your religious belief and your ethnicity and discriminate against you. However, despite all these negative experiences that the community has gone through, Afghanistan still remains at the heart of their mind and at the heart of their everyday life, and they cannot stop thinking of Afghanistan because Afghanistan is their birthplace, and they do love to see Afghanistan being back prosperous, being peaceful, and hopefully that one day these prejudices and discriminations will come to an end. And despite all this suffering, as I said, Afghanistan remains their ancestral homeland. For the first generation, it's homeland. For the second generation, it is the ancestral homeland. So these Ismailis in Germany have made Germany their new home and successfully settled in Germany. So Germany is their home, and Afghanistan remains their homeland. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Yahia, for presenting another interesting story of a migrant, this time in Europe, in the heart of Germany, in the heart of Europe, in Germany. And of course, you have brought also the issues of identity and belonging and relations with the homeland, which is again shows is to be very complex and multilayered.